This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome, Dana.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to meet with me, and welcome to everyone else that's joining us today for the behind the scenes of the customer experience event. Today, I'm joined by Dana Giloff from WeTravel, and together we're going to be talking about some of the, very nuanced and different topics, but all as they relate to the retreat experience, customer experience. And so some of these topics include optimizing sales pages, strategies to potentially help you save hundreds of dollars on your next retreat, tools to organize key retreat metrics, and as well as one item which is quite unique, but is really, really important to the seamless retreat experience, which is clear communication. And so sharing some tools that can allow us to do that. And so that being said, once again, Dana, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with my community. And before we jump in, maybe you can take a minute or two just to briefly introduce yourself.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm super happy to be here today. As you know, I am a sales manager for WeTravel. I started working for WeTravel at the end of 2021. I'm super excited to be back in the travel industry, and also working for a company that really offers a business solution and helps clients alleviate all the complexities of when they organize trips. So super happy. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. I guess let's just jump in straight because we have a lot to cover today. So we can start off with the first topic, which is around key components of high converting sales pages. So obviously this is a super loaded topic, but also one that's very, very important to all retreat leaders, because we know that, a high converting sales page can make or break whether you sell out your retreat. And so this obviously starts with compelling copy, but maybe I'll just introduce a few other things that we know are also need to be included. And so the first is always a very compelling header, right? Your title. Why? This is often the first thing that people see when landing on your sales page or even hearing about your retreat. And so we obviously need to, have that super gripping headline. And then followed by the opportunity to introduce the retreat, right? Starting with your story as a retreat leader, as a retreat host, what inspired you to put together this event, and what somebody who's going to be attending will walk away from, the retreat gaining. So what is that transformation? What are the retreat benefits layered on with your retreat vision? And so kind of just building out the sales page, right? Like all of this copy we need front and center. And so, another key topic that we always discuss is appealing visuals, especially important when we talk about accommodations, right? So we want to have really high quality photography. Video is another great option so that we can help somebody make the decision to join your upcoming event. And obviously super, super clear call to actions, right? We want to know the pricing of the event that we're hosting. Where does somebody have to click next to be able to join? And so these are just like a few key things for us to mention as it relates to sales pages. But when I work with my clients on curating a sales page, one of the biggest deciding factors that we also have to discuss is where are we going to host it? And so, Dana, we know that we've got a few options available to us. And so maybe this is where we can jump right in and you can give us, outline what those options are for retreat planners in the industry today.
Definitely. Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, so of course, the organizers have a couple of options. So one of the options is, of course, on your own webpage, use a standard e-commerce plugin. The challenge with this is sometimes they only offer the option of payment, but it's not doesn't offer other benefits like managing the trips online and bookings online, and sometimes it's really expensive as well. So what we can offer with WeTravel is mainly two options. So first of all, you can build your trip in WeTravel. You will be able to build your trip within minutes, so that's something really easy. that you can do. So then you just copy the URL that you created for the trip, and you can embed that in your web page. So it's really easy. You will have the Book Now button in your web page, and when clients go to your page, they can easily click the Book Now button, and they will see the options to pay online. So we offer a couple of options. They can pay with bank transfer, with credit cards, or they can also, there are a couple of options to also pay by cash or check. So that's one option. The other option is for them to create also the trip with WeTravel, and then they can share this beautiful page that they just created. They can share with their web page, or they can share with their social media accounts. So why would people use this last option that I mentioned? Sometimes people don't have really the capacity or the desire to change their web page, so they will just build this custom page, and they can easily share. Or maybe a retreat leader is collaborating or co-hosting with another retreat, so they don't want to use their web page for this, and they want to just use a custom page. So that would be a second option.
Makes sense.
So if you want, I can share my screen.
Oh, that would be incredible.
Give me 1 second to show you these options online. Would you like me to show you now?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, perfect. So let me share my screen. So here I have, for example, this is the option that I was saying, that you can build a custom trip. So this is a trip, retreat to Bali. So once you create your trip online, I'm going to show you that in a little bit. You will have this beautiful page with all the information about your trip. You can put your company logo here with a pro account. Here, the clients will see the different options that you have for the different packages that you offer. They can select this one here, and they can easily pay online. Then they see all the options of the information about the trip. They will see what's included in the trip. For example, in this case, the airfare, breakfast and dinner, the tour guide, some workshops, and then they'll see what's not included. Let's say additional excursions, gratuities, personal expenses. They will see the different packages available that they can book here. And also they can see later some add-ons, right, that they can decide to add to their trip. And then they can see, of course, the itinerary, what's included every day. So the excursions, or like a wellness retreat and all that. And at the bottom, they can also include like the different reviews that they get from previous trips. So that's really important as well. And of course, they can add all the pictures of the different events that they will have during the trip.
And Dana, maybe
this page they can easily share by email, as I mentioned before. They can share with their social media accounts, and then the clients can easily book online. So that would be the custom pages that they can share, as I said, for their social media accounts. The other option.
Dana, I have a quick question actually. So in general, like when I see something like this, and when I work with my clients to put together a sales page, I wouldn't be able to do this on my own, right? Like if I were trying to create this on my website, I'd have to work with a coder, a developer to make something like this. And so maybe, just to highlight, you don't need any coding skills to be able to put this together, right? For the most part, it's very interactive and drag and drop. And so maybe if you can just explain that a little bit, like what type of skill set does somebody need to do this?
Yeah, so definitely you don't need to be tech-savvy to create these pages. So for example, this is our homepage. So you want to let's say to create a trip, you can create the trip from scratch here in the upper right side. And I have already created a trip, so I can share like the steps that you would do if you were to create a trip from scratch. So let's say I have my trip to Bali here. So if you were to create it from scratch, you have to complete these 5 steps here, but it's very user-friendly. You can just follow the steps, So here in the first page, for example, is the trip basics. So it's just the information of the trip, like the name of the trip, the title, the destination, the dates that you're going to have the trip. Then you upload the pictures, which is really easy. You can upload from your computer or even from the web. And then you start completing the information for the group. For example, in this case, the group size is minimum 15 people, maximum 20. You can enable the wait list. So if it's sold out, you can still gather the information of additional participants that are interested to join. And then you can If somebody cancel or something, you can contact them after. You can decide if you want to do a private trip or a public trip. So a private will be only people that you share the link and book the trip, or public that they can find it on your webpage or in Google, you know. So then you just continue the different steps, completing the information about the trip, all the relevant information. You have a couple of options to include cancellation policies. So one option is to include it here, but you can also include it in the questionnaire at the end of the process.
Wow.
Here you will include, yeah, here you will include what's included for the trip. Very easy to customize. You know, you can change it here. It's very easy, user friendly, and then you can include what's not included in the trip. Let's say gratuities, additional excursions. Also very easy to customize. And then you continue. You just continue the steps. Here will be the itinerary. So if you want to include what's for every day, so day 1, day 2, the different activities that you have, workshop, excursions, you can include them. And so it's really easy here to customize, adding the pictures, detailing the information about the trip, and just saving the event.
So this is essentially capturing everything that I mentioned as like some of these, key things that we need without essentially needing to code or work with a developer. And one thing to highlight is that generally when we're looking to put this together, when you're working with somebody else externally, and it is a lot of that back and forth of what you're trying to communicate, but it's great that we can just jump into this tool and be able to use it off the bat ourselves as a retreat leader. So this is super insightful for, option 1. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dana.
Yeah, thank you. So let me go back. Let me go back and stop sharing the screen. Yeah, I can continue showing the different pages and options that they can use later during our conversation.
Perfect. Yeah. And so I guess just to summarize, we kind of have 2 of these options, right? You can go ahead and use the WeTravel, platform as a landing page, or you can embed the widget, right, that exists for WeTravel, and you can put it on your own website. So both of those are options. Okay, great. So yeah, in terms of sales pages, obviously everybody in the industry knows how extremely important this is. And I believe you can just, we've got some exciting offers that WeTravel is going to give to us at the end of the call, but you can always go in, request a demo, and kind of play around with the tool. So
yeah, anybody can start creating their trips for free, so they can just log in and start getting familiar with the page, and they can start using the page anytime. And of course, as you said, they can request a demo and we can explain them more information.
Perfect. So that was topic 1, which is obviously, as I mentioned, like a super loaded topic. But the second one that I think is going to be extremely exciting for most people, because it's around saving money, right? And when we're talking about booking and hosting retreats, we're always going back and forth between what are our expenses, right? How much do we charge? And I think one of the most surprising line items that comes up every time I work with my clients in the RetreatProfits budget and profit calculator is how expensive it is to have processing fees, both from vendors, but also from ticket sales. So it's one of those expenses that's like frequently overlooked and can be very, very costly. So that being said, Dana, can you give us some insights into what industry standards are for these expenses? And then specifically, what expenses and fees you guys have in WeTravel as well?
Sure. Yeah. So as you mentioned, there are a couple of expenses. So let's start with the front end fees involved with collecting funds from your participants. So usually payment processing system and softwares usually carry fees from 3% to 6% per transaction. Sometimes a lump sum per transaction, or sometimes they also charge a subscription fee. In terms of backend fees, they're also involved when you pay to vendors and partners domestically and internationally. So that's also sometimes it gets a little complicated and expensive. So if you work with WeTravel, we offer a very simple pricing. You can start, as I said, with a basic plan for free. You can decide later if you want to upgrade to a pro account where you get some additional features like customizing your branding. The pro account is $79 a month. And in terms of transactions, we charge 1% plus 30 cents per transaction. So much less than other companies in the industry. Also, what we offer that is really useful for organizers is the possibility to pay vendors. So you can pay vendors using bank transfer. So it's free when the vendor has a bank in the US. And if you want to send wire transfer, it's like $15 or 15 euros, depending on the currency that you're using. So that would be like the main pricing that we have. Of course, there are credit card transaction fees, standards for the industry that you can either absorb.
Dana, I'm not sure if I lost you there for a minute.
By ACH, which is that they can pay for free or pay with credit card. They decide to pay with the ACH. Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah, you're back. I think it just fast forwarded through that last piece, but it makes sense, right? So if you're also, you have the credit card transaction fees was that last component. And so you can absorb it as part of your cost, right?
Yeah. Or you can pass it to the client, because the client can pay with credit card, or they can also pay with bank transfer from like an ACH. So when they see both options, they usually decide for the free one, which is paid by bank transfer online.
Okay, that makes sense. And so again, this is like another one of those topics which maybe isn't the most sexiest out there, but it always comes up because when you're trying to ahead of time figure out how to price your retreat, how do we do that? We figure out what are our key expenses that come up. So we're thinking about accommodations and venues, right? All these things, but you don't really think about fees that are going to be happening as part of you making money selling tickets, right? Or when you think about the pricing that your vendors are giving you, you just take it at cost without thinking about what are all the other line items that need to be considered. And so this is especially important when you're trying to figure out your break-even cost, right? Sometimes you're just looking to fill that one or two last spots on your retreat. But if you don't consider all the expenses involved, you may actually be losing money on filling some of those spots. So thank you so much, Dana, for highlighting what those fees are. Based off of my experience in the industry, they are very competitive rates. So it's great that that's already embedded in the process of you kind of putting together the sales page and using WeTravel. So that's super helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I guess jumping right in, because this is an easy segue. We're talking about, expenses, fees, collecting money. And part of this is, metrics and dashboarding, which I can't stress enough how important it is to stay organized as a retreat leader, especially when you are, first just collecting deposits or maybe offering different payment plans. And we know, for example, industry standard, you always want to make sure that everybody, all of your participants pay you at least 30 days before the retreat so that you can pay off any final payments to your vendors, things like that. And so, yes, we can do this in a spreadsheet, but realistically speaking, there are great tools, and my understanding is WeTravel has that embedded within the system to help you manage the process and to see if there's any outstanding payments, things like that. So Dana, maybe you can actually show us what that, the dashboarding tool looks like so that people can visualize it.
Perfect. Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen again. Yeah, as you said, the idea is to use the technology that we can provide. And give me 1 second that I lose my page. Oops, here. Okay, so can you see my screen now?
Yep, it's up.
Okay, so let me go back to my trip. Let me have it here. Okay, so here you go to manage the trip, and here you will be able to see your dashboard. Okay, so there are a lot of information. So first of all, you see all the participants going to the trip. You can easily see the status of their payments. So of course, we help sending reminders for payments automatically when the remainder installment is due. So we help with that. Here you can also, let's say, message participants. Let me go here 1 second. Here you can manage all the bookings as well. So here, for example, you can see the details of the booking. You can send a message to the participants. If you want to add a payment manually, you can also do that by selecting this option. If you want to add an option like an add-on to the trip that they already booked, you can do it here. If somebody wants to switch a package, let's say from single room to double room, you can also do it from here. If you want to issue a refund. So here, basically, you have all the options to manage the bookings and the different requests that you have from participants. Let's say cancel a booking, or if you want to see the payment plan, you can also see it. In this case, we have a couple of installments. So you can see the amount already paid and the amount remaining and the different installments that the organizer selected as part of the option for this trip.
Perfect.
Let me see. Let me see what else here I can show you. For example, messages. If you want to send a message to a participant, you can decide to message all participants or just some participants that are missing some information, or you can message the participants that are that have some payment balance due. So you can decide to do that as well.
Yeah, so that's actually a very interesting point, and it leads us into kind of that, one of the final topics that we wanted to discuss today, which was around client communication. And so obviously you're tracking this information once somebody books the retreat. So we know from a dashboarding standpoint what payments are outstanding, right? And also this makes you as a retreat leader look professional as well. If you're sending communication ahead of time, reminding people that payments are coming due, right? All of this is super, super important. And the reason why, and we'll focus a little bit on, the dashboard right now and the messaging functionality, Dana, is because I always mention this all the time, but it's a concept of essentially buyer's remorse. When we talk about retreats, I always say it's a high ticket item, right? So somebody is spending potentially, this retreat is $3,500 to go to Bali. And let's say they just paid you, whether it was a deposit or some installment, and now they don't hear from you. What ends up happening is people start regretting their decision, right? They got to know you as part of the sales page and any other communication that you have, but now they sent you all this money and you're MIA. And so, Dana, these messaging capabilities allow you to be able to put out continuous updates, right? Hey, thank you so much for joining. We received your payment. Can't wait, stay in touch, or you'll hear from us, at this period of time. And then you can follow up with potential, the other things to note would be like planning lists, right? Like what do people have to pack, all these different things. And so maybe Dana, if you could just highlight some of these communication tips and things that we can do within the tool.
Perfect. Yeah, sure. So we have, when I was talking about the 5 steps to create your trip, the final step after the pricing is the participant info. So here in the participant info, when they're doing their booking, you can request some information from them necessary for them to book the trip, but then you can also request some information that they can answer after they have done the booking. So for example, in this case, you really want to highlight like all the terms and conditions of the trip. You want to avoid any misunderstanding on cancellation policies or anything related, for COVID, anything if they need to buy insurance. So here you can add like different questions to your questionnaire, just to make sure that they have all the information and that you also have the information needed to gather for the trip. So in this case, these are just examples. So for example, if you need the birth date, or you need the medical issues or any conditions that they may have, or dietary restrictions, if you want them to accept the terms and conditions like the cancellation policy, you can also ask this question here, and they have to agree before booking. They have to agree to a cancellation policy. This will really help you if anything comes up later. So you have that written, agree by the customer.
Right.
Here they have to click here, or they have to include their name here, like signing the terms and conditions. Anything else that you need to request, like vaccination, like the the vaccination card, or let's say if they had the COVID vaccination, or let's say preferences for the rooms. If they want to share a room with somebody, they can include their names here. These are just questions examples, you know.
Yeah.
So after you create your questionnaire, you can also send a welcome message. So once they do the booking, they will receive the welcome message. Here you can include any information that you need for them to be aware for the destination, maybe tips about the weather, you know, or special events that are going to happen at the destination. So you can send the welcome message, maybe with links to other PDF or files that you have. And as you mentioned, after they book, you can always maintain the communication with them really active with the messages that you can send from the dashboard.
And so what's interesting here is, you know, this is as part of registration. And so you highlighted, obviously, the importance of having somebody agree to the terms and conditions of, you know, having cancellation policies, things like that. But that welcome message, that gets sent automatically once somebody books. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, correct.
Okay. So it's like another step in the process that you don't have to think about. And you know that right away, somebody feels, you know, you're building the excitement for the event. And so they just registered, and right away you're building the right energy and environment for them to participate. So that's great as an option.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely.
And there was one other thing that I wanted to mention, which is, you know, when we think of retreat communication, you obviously have communication beforehand while you're selling the retreat, during the checkout process, right? And so as soon as somebody gives payment, you also highlighted different communication that's available throughout, like before the retreat actually happens. But one of the things that we talk about is also, you know, gathering testimonials. It is another form of communication that happens after the retreat. And so is there functionality to do that, given it's so important? And you showed us some reviews that you can use as a marketing tool for your next retreat.
Definitely. So after the trip, we will send an automatic email offering the client to write a review. And if they do so, then you can, of course, add them to your webpage. You can, the same as you embed the book now button, you can embed the reviews to your webpage. Or if you create some custom trips, you can have the reviews at the end of the custom page. So this is an example here.
That's awesome. And so those emails you can set up, or they go out automatically after your trip?
They will go automatically after the trip.
Yeah, so that's super useful too, because especially if you weren't able to receive the testimonials that you needed during the actual retreat, having this as another form of communication after the fact is super important, because again, next time around when somebody is looking to join your retreat, they can hear from other people and individuals like them to see whether they enjoyed it. So that's a super, super useful tool. And this is very insightful, Dana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I think we've, you know, covered some of these key topics. You've done a great job at summarizing, because, you know, these are some, we could probably have a call on each of these individually, but just to round out, I know, Dana, that WeTravel, as I mentioned before, has a special offer for everybody listening today. Could you just highlight what that is?
Yeah. So if they go to the webpage that you will have at the like a link, right?
Yep,
they will
I'll provide
see
that.
it's a 20% discount.
Perfect.
For the pro subscription.
Awesome. And then there was also a useful link, right, that you guys were putting together specific to COVID considerations. And you've mentioned some of this throughout while demoing the tool.
Yeah, so it's just a link to help organizers, like a checklist, you know, so they can really make sure that they're covering all the necessary things, especially now with COVID, that you have an extra set of requirements for traveling. So we will also put that link at the in the post that you will do, so they can access the link and they can really see and make sure that they're covering all the necessary information.
Perfect. And then on my end, every time that, I partner together with WeTravel, I really do have, a consistent offer for the community, which is anybody who's looking to get started planning a retreat, or irrespective of where you are in the retreat planning process. I offer a free 30-minute consultation just to answer any questions that you have. And it can honestly be any follow-ups from this call. I could do my best to answer, but essentially any help that you need along the way, I'm always happy to lend a hand. And so I'll also provide a link to schedule that call for anybody interested. But I think, Dana, that wraps up everything for today. I really, really appreciate your time. I just want to mention that again. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for inviting. And just want to emphasize that they can go to WeTravel and start. They can create an account for free, and they can just look at the product, see how it works, see how the platform works, and they can really see that it's super user friendly, and then they can decide how to move forward.
Perfect. That sounds great. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Victoria.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.